Welcome to Body by Design. I'm your host, Blue Driver, a women's strength training and metabolism coach. I went from years suffering hormone imbalances, looking soft and bloated, to symptom-free and building muscle for a toned athletic physique. Since then, I've made it my mission to empower women to take control of their own health, hormones and body composition. So grab a cup of coffee and let's build your body by design. Welcome back to the Body by Design podcast, and today I've got Mel with me. Hi, Mel.
Hello, it's great to be here.
So Mel has been a client since, I think it was last January you first started up with me. Mel's had a really interesting journey, which I'll get her to talk more about. But one of the reasons why I've got her on here today is because when something comes up in life, we tend to find the reasons and the barriers to why we can't keep going. And Mel has not done that at all. So she started up, got on a good start within weeks, had a back concern, I'll let her tell you, which required surgery. So we ended up having to pause while she waited for surgery and got to a place where she was allowed to start physio again. And then she started back. As soon as she was able to move again, she started back and she hasn't stopped. So she's a really inspiring story on what you can achieve even when there's barriers in your way. So that's why I've got Mel on with us today. Tell me where you were at when you first came and went, that's it, I need some help. What were you feeling? What were the reasons why you came on board?
Right. Well, I've always sort of been the same weight since a teenager kind of thing. And I've always sort of described myself as chubby, I guess. And my weight sort of stayed around about the 80 kilos, and I've never been able to get below the 75. And I had 3 children in 3 years, pretty much, and a miscarriage before that as well. And I just think it just took it out of my body. And I was just giving, obviously, in the thick of 3 babies, and I just felt tired, I guess, and my body was just didn't feel like me anymore. And I wouldn't call myself a dieter. I haven't done all the diets, mainly because I can't stick to anything. I try something for a week and I'm like, yeah, no, I can't do this. I try intermittent fasting. Now I like food too much. I try something else and I give it a week and I'm like, not seeing results, I'm not going to do it. And so I've dabbled in things, but I've never stuck to anything long enough to actually see any results. And a couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with depression and went on medication, but that made me just feel terrible. And so I was like, I'm sure there's a way that I can do this and, help myself positively through diet and exercise or something like that. So I went to a range of natural health people. I saw a kinesiologist who told me I had to cut out dairy, cut out gluten, cut out refined sugar.
Much left to eat, is there?
She put me on a stack ton of supplements as well. It cost a fortune. So I was like, right, I'm going to stick to this one. So I did about 8 weeks of gluten-free, dairy-free, refined sugar-free, which is probably the longest I've ever stuck to anything in my life and diet-wise. And to be honest, nothing really changed.
Your weight didn't even change cutting out all the food groups?
Not really, because the problem with cutting out those things is then you add in nuts and seeds and
they're actually quite high in fat.
Yeah, all those things, and no refined sugar. Well, you can just change to dates and maple syrup and you can still have all those sweet treats, but then with the almond meal and all those kind of things as well. And because I love baking, I just bake all these goodies and just eat them.
You're allowed to eat them.
But,
so there was no foundations in understanding what energy requirements your body needed. It was just stick away from these foods and eat these ones.
Yeah. And then I finally got onto the pro metabolic through Kitty Bloomfield and her program.
Amazing program.
I listened to most of her podcasts. I listened to her podcasts. I did her 7-day challenge thing. So I kind of got onto the pro metabolic way of eating. a couple of 2 years ago. That really did make me feel better. I lost my mum during that time, and I think that, you know, having that foundation of the food and the nutrition there helped through that time.
So you've come from a history of depression. You weren't medicated. You changed to a pro-metabolic diet, and in that time you lost your mum. Where was your depression with that?
To be honest, I wouldn't say that I had any bouts of depression during that time.
Sadness and grief, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that is very different. It's normal sadness and grief is very different to depression, and you don't feel like you had any of that in that time, which reasonably, if you have depression, you would think it would trigger an episode.
Yeah, I think but I know that because of what I'd learned about eating well, I really made sure during that time that I was eating. And I'd have my orange juice, and I'd have the things that, like, I'd have breakfast and I'd have lunch and I'd have dinner, and I made sure that I ate and looked after myself in that way. And I think that made a really big difference. I think the thing that tripped me up was the tracking. And I know Kitty and Craig say over and over again, you need to track, you need to track. And I tried, but it's like that dieting thing. I'd try it for a week and I was like, oh, it's too hard. I don't know how to do this properly. I can't do it. So it got to Christmas last year, and I said, I don't want to be in the same place next Christmas. I've been in this place for years now. We always go holidaying at the beach. I actually want to feel good in my skin, in my body, and I can't do it on my own anymore. Something actually has to change. I have to have help, because I've tried it on my own. I've tried to track on my own. I've followed all the things that Kitty and Craig suggest in that pro-metabolic space. Tried it on my own, and so I saw
your health is good. Your mental health is stable, your energy is good. You're now in a place where you're like, it's the physical change and I'm coming undone there, which pro-metabolic eating is amazing. And you nailed it on the head. And Kitty and Craig I talk about it. The foods are wonderful, but it's calories in. And there's this whole argument on the internet about calories in and calories out, or it's your hormones and all that. Well, it's kind of both. It is calories in and calories out, and that's where the tracking comes into place. But how you feel with it, your balanced hormones, your energy, your mood, your sleep, all those sorts of things is about the quality of the calories that you put in, which is where the pro-metabolic comes in. So it really is two parts. It's not just one.
And it's also really easy to overeat the fat, because there's butter and all those yummy
Which
things
you can have, and they're amazing and they're so good for us.
When you're just slathering it on without actually knowing how much you're using. And it's quite eye-opening when you actually weigh it out and see, oh, so 5 grams of butter isn't actually that much. So it got to that time, I was like, right, I actually want to do something, and to do that I need help. And I saw you on Instagram, and I was like, you know, I like you, I like what you've got to say, I like the way that you are approachable, and you messaged me a few times on Instagram, and I was like, let's do this, I need a coach.
And she signed up, and it was a banging start.
Yes.
But then,
so I've always been into exercise. I've always done things, but it's always sort of been follow along someone on YouTube, or follow along a class on Facebook. My friends run a fitness class thing, and so it's like a 20-minute HIIT kind of thing. So exercise isn't new to me, but I wanted to learn how to actually properly strength train. And I was having this issue with my back, and I thought, if I learn how to lift properly, and if I learn how to actually lift heavy rather than just doing all this, you know, cardio kind of stuff, then maybe it might strengthen my back and make it feel better. But little did I know, probably should have listened to my body. It was actually worse.
Well, we didn't really even get far into the lifting side of things. So Mel had the thing that was going on there. Yes, strength training is going to help now, but it was probably too far gone. It was a car trip or something that ended up setting you off, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I had a bulged disc that was pressing on my sciatic nerve. So we went away on holiday and I was sitting in the car for about 6 hours. And I just think that sitting really didn't help. And then I had some acupuncture on it, which I think released the muscles, and it just all went downhill.
It did. It went downhill very quickly from I've got a sore back to
I can't move.
Yeah.
I could only crawl. I couldn't sit. I couldn't stand. I couldn't walk.
I remember talking to you, and doing the process of the medical system of waiting for specialists and waiting for results and everything. But we did get to that point where we realized you had to have surgery, and we went, right, we're going to pause here, set you up with realistic calories. So you were Mel's into tracking by this stage, and she was actually doing really well. Even though you say that it was something that you never stuck to and it was too hard, you adapted very quickly to tracking. So I was able to set you up with a plan of, okay, you've got no physical movement now. We know what calories you were on before sustaining you, but what does that look like now? So we just did a bit of a calorie plan for your low activity, which you kind of kept on through that time. How long was it?
So I went to bed one night, woke up, and I just couldn't move. And that was like the end of January. And then I had my surgery the end of April, February, March, a good 3 months. 2 months of completely not able to work when they finally got me on the right medications, because that was a issue as well. I was on so many medications. The pain was unreal. So I was on morphine, and I was on nerve blockers, and I was on so many pills to try and actually be able to function. Yeah, so the food was good, and yes, the tracking. I think the tracking is something that when you start, it's hard to get your head around, and I know that lots of people find it hard to just start. But once you get started, it is so freeing. It is so freeing.
How many people say that?
And now that I do it, I'm like, it's easy now. It's so easy. I really enjoy it now.
Why is it freeing? Why, describe the freedom. What is it that feels freeing?
I think what I got stuck with when I started before you and when I tried myself is I was tracking as I went, kind of thing. I didn't really know how to do it properly.
And tracking in advance, always.
It was so, I was and seeing how much everything was, and you have lunch and you put it in and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got
now I've got nothing to eat for the rest of the day.
And so now I put in my whole week. I do my whole week. I sit down on Sunday and I'm like, right, I'm going to have this, 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 and this for dinner. And I put it in. And then I work everything around dinners, because we've got, a family of 5. So I have different dinners each night. But I just have my meals that I can work around the dinners. And it's just so
your dinners end up being kind of the same macros anyway.
Yeah. And it used to be such a what are we going to have for dinner? And what are we going to do this? And now it's just all there. And there's no brain stress about food.
I think that's the biggest thing. The mental fatigue, the mental load of thinking about food goes, because you sit down on a Sunday, you do that one thought process, and by the time you plan your meals and do your shopping list or whatever, maybe an hour, done. You don't think about it again. When you go, oh, I'm hungry, it's lunchtime, you open up the app and the app tells you what to eat. Have to think and make a decision. And I think it's really underestimated about how many decisions women in particular, homemakers, mums, have to make in a day. And food is just another one. And if you don't have to think because it's already pre-planned, and then on top of that, what sustains your body. So you're not eating thinking, I shouldn't be, or am I going to put on weight, or what will this do to me? That all just goes. And I hear so many clients say it, that I was really apprehensive about tracking, but now I do it. It's actually really freeing.
And the best thing is you can eat what you love. I have chocolate mousse for dessert every night, and is that
protein chocolate mousse I put up on Instagram?
your one?
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
So good. And I know, like, if I'm feeling a bit hungry, like at afternoon tea, I'm just like, you know what? I've got that chocolate mousse coming up after dinner. I'm just hanging out for that, and it's just good. It's in the fridge. I know it's all, weighed out, and I just grab it, and it's great.
To touch on that, so Mel mentioned before that like you couldn't stick to anything because you liked food too much and you were hungry, but you've actually been in a deficit. So when Mel came back, her training was light. We picked an amount of calories and she kind of just naturally went into a deficit with her walking and her rehab, and we kept you there and made it more intentional as we've gone. And we're almost, how many weeks did we get out of you? You're just at the end now.
16 now, maybe?
16. We did do the full 16 weeks, didn't we? So she's just coming to the end of it now. So we got that full 16 weeks out of it. But I'm listening to you now and you go, so in the afternoon when I get hungry, which is often a time that we fall down, afternoons or after dinner are the big ones, that you're going, oh, I'm hungry. What can I eat? You actually go, yeah, but I've got this coming, so I'm okay. You've got something to look forward to. You've got it planned, and it's not restrictive food, it's foods you love. So you're able to deal with the hunger pains in that moment because you know you've got something you love. You also know that you're reaching a target. I mean, after 16 weeks, what did we say? You've lost all up 6.5 kilos. And Mel's not a tall lady. How tall are you? 26. So she's not a big frame, and she's taken 6.5 kilos off of that. But the fact that you could stick to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a blessing that I had you on, on call, because I mean, I could have gone, I mean, I was on the couch, I couldn't move. I probably would have done less than 100 steps a day.
I know, it was crazy. I remember talking to you. So even though Mel put her coaching and everything on hold, I still touch base with her every now and then. But the one thing I loved about it is you were determined all the way along to make sure you got back to it. And you had every reason to give up, and a lot of people would, but it never really, you had moments of probably despair and feeling really down, but I never truly saw you giving up. It was always, I've got to get through this because this is where we're going.
Yeah, well, I still have that Christmas goal in mind. And I was like, I'm not flip. Last year I had mum, and then this year my back. I was like, I'm not going to make excuses. I want to I don't want to be in the same place at Christmas. So I knew if I wanted to do this, I had to actually do this. And I mean, we live in the mountains, so, walking in the snow, I'm out walking in the rain, I'm getting my steps in because I know, and I think that's why I've had such a great result,
Absolutely.
Weight-wise, is I've been hitting my steps, and
yes, you've been more restricted on the how much you can lift at the moment, though you've still been doing all the movement patterns. Once you got back into rehab, all the movement patterns, but it's been about low weights. And then you've had additional with like your core work and your functional that you've been doing as well through your physio, which has been great. But from a lifting perspective, they've been really, really good on, yes, lift weights. We've worked on, so Mel sends through her videos, we're working on all of her movement, making sure her form's really good. But in that time, the steps, you were like 16, 20,000 steps, because that's all you could do. So it was, she just got out and moved, and it kept that movement going. And I think that's the determination that I've loved watching, because again, like you say, it's been snowing, it's been winter, it's been cold and raining, and it's never been an excuse.
Wow. And
how are you feeling about Christmas now?
Good. It's exciting. I'm like, finally.
When was the last time you were in the 60s in weight?
Gosh, teenager.
So there we go.
Yeah,
that's a new milestone for you. She just told me her new weigh-in weight this morning. This is her last week in the deficit, and it's dropped a fair bit again. So overall, you've done 6.5 from the beginning, 6.5 kilos of weight loss, 2 centimeters you've lost in total. Your biggest measurement movement was your waist at 12 centimeters. But she's also gained 4 kilos of muscle mass. So that goes back on to the scale. You've grown 4 kilos of muscle mass, and you went from 35% body fat down to 25% body fat. So you're actually at they say 25 to 30% is a healthy weight range for a woman. Probably not the aesthetically pleasing look that a lot of women are going for, but that's the healthy weight range. So you are outside of that. You're now at the bottom of that healthy weight range. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And when did you come back? June.
Yeah.
May.
And when I started back, I had a lot of muscle, like, what's it called? Atrophy.
Wastage. Yeah, muscle wastage from just, you spent months just not even being able to walk, like you said, barely making 100 steps. So that loss in that
glute was like caved in. I'd lost so much on my calf muscle. You could see the difference between the two legs. It was, so I feel like we've come a long way, and I couldn't have done it without you, because I feel like if I didn't have someone holding me accountable, it's very easy to stop, like knowing that I have to log this in every day, knowing that I have to turn up, give my feedback every week, knowing that I could eat what I want, but you'd see that nothing's moved,
And I think even if you didn't log what you might be eating, the data never lies.
Yeah, exactly.
Like all the other data, you could not log everything that you ate and try and hide.
Yeah.
But all the other data will show if you're doing work or not. I'll probably put up a post of your progress as well. And in that post, I'm going to actually put up the graphs of the change in muscle mass and body fat. If you're not doing the right thing in eating, and if you're not working out hard, that is not going to change. Now, hard is relative, because hard for you is not you're hard for me because of where you're at. The other day, like we were talking about your glutes, then like so much wastage. And I had mentioned to you, you're very flat on your glutes. We're going to have to focus on that. And even you said the other day, a message from her in our channel, and she's like, I can see my glutes growing. They look a little bit round rather than looking flat.
Yeah, that's exciting to see, because it's only going to get better.
Yep, it is. And it protects your back. This is the, the thing as well. This is where we're going with strong glutes will actually protect your back as well. So it's been a journey. It's been amazing. And I'm very excited to see what more brings, because you're coming, every time you go to the physio, you're being allowed to increase weight, add movements, and it's, as long as you're safe and you're comfortable, we're progressing, and you never shy away from giving it your all, which is amazing. And Mel works out at home, by the way, people. She's got a cable machine and a Smith machine. So she makes it, easy to do from home as well. So I think the message here is that no matter what life throws at you, she's lost a mum, she's had her back. Your dad's actually been unwell in this process as well. She's had every reason under the sun to throw in the towel and just go, it's too hard. It takes too much time. It's too much energy. I can't think. But at the end of the day, if you don't have your health, what good are you to anyone? And you haven't given up. And well done. I'm so proud of you for where you've come from and what you've achieved. You've done so well.
I think consistency is definitely the key.
There's that word. So unsexy, consistency, isn't it?
Yeah, like you just have to show up every day.
Yeah. And it's so, we sit here talking about it together now, and it sounds amazing, like, wow. And it is. I don't want to take away from that at all. It is fucking amazing what you've done. However, underneath that wow, everyone wants to appreciate what you've got, but they never really truly appreciate what you had to do to get it. And that is walking in the rain, walking in the snow, showing up regardless. I wanted to do this for myself, and I've got this back issue. I just got to do the process of the back issue and get straight back into it. And you did. Your dad's unwell. Well, you didn't let that derail you. There's been times, even in the deficit, where you've messaged me and you've gone, oh, pretty hungry, pretty tired, but you've stuck to the guns, sat in those uncomfortable feelings, knowing it's going to pay off, and it has.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Wonderful having you today. Thank you for coming on.
No, thank you.
Is there anything final that you would say to anyone from who's maybe sitting on the fence going, do I do this?
I think if I can do it, you can do it. I mean, if you'd seen what my life was like before this, I was not consistent. I made all the excuses, but if you just have that mindset and having a coach to help, it really does help. If you've been trying it on your own and you're just not quite getting the results, get a coach. Lou, she's amazing, and it just makes all the difference to keep you consistent, to keep you on track, and to help you with all the lows that inevitably come in life, because they do come, but you can still progress even through the lows.
Awesome. Thank you. And I will give some updates on Mel as we go through this, because she certainly hasn't finished her journey. This is just the beginning and she's got some great things ahead. Keep an eye out on my Instagram. There will always be updates coming. If you have any great takeaways from this, please take a screenshot and tag me at strengthtraining.nutritionist, and I will catch you in the next episode.